Okay, so this is our last problem, number 7, and this one's interesting because we're first going to write a macro, and then we are going to connect it to a command button, which we'll place on one of our forms. And you'll see techniques like this in the book, but this one is probably a little more simplified, so you can just go by this video and skip the book discussion if you're so inclined. So let's see, it says create a macro called MCR all properties query, which will open the all properties query in datasheet read-only mode. Now notice we're opening a query this time, which is something we haven't done yet in these exercises. Since many guests call in and inquire about properties, it would be helpful to run this query from the guest form via command button, which looks like this. Add a view properties command button to FRM guest and connect it to the MCR all properties query macro. So first things first, we need to get this macro in place. I'm starting a brand new one, and we'll save it as MCR all properties. Okay. Oh, all properties query, I think it said. Okay. And basically, the macro is going to open this query and run it, the all properties query, in read-only datasheet mode. So let's add a new action here. We're opening a query, okay, and the query is going to be this one, all properties, and we're told datasheet read-only, so let me change this. Okay, now we are not being asked to filter this in any way or add criteria. Now, if we had been, though, I want you to take note, this is like opening the table where you don't have that where condition area. So we would have to go to the action catalog and do the apply filter thing, just like we do with the tables. Okay, so, but we're not asked to do that here. So we'll just save this. We'll run it just to check it out and make sure it works. Okay, there's the query. And we'll close it up, and then we'll close up the macro as well. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2 is to add a command button to the guest form, and that command button will be connected to the macro that we just created, and then we'll be able to open the properties right from the guest form. And I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because what if I have a guest on the phone, and I'm looking at that guest's record, and they say, by the way, what kind of properties are available? It would be helpful to have a button right here on the form so I can just click on it and get all the properties right then and there. So let's go ahead and do that. We want to be in design view. I'm in the form, right? And I'm going to go to the home tab and make sure I get into design view. Okay? And if you want, you can buy yourself a little bit of space. We'll put the button maybe right here. Okay, and up here in the controls toolbox we have this guy, the button. It's like a button with a bunch of X's on it, and we're going to go ahead and draw one of those on our form. Okay, so far so good. And to connect it to the macro, we are going to, let's see where, go to the miscellaneous category, and on the side here, run macro. And now it's saying, okay, these are the macros you have at your disposal. Which one are you going to connect this to, this button to? And it's this one, the one at the top that we just created. Okay, and then also in our instructions we're told that the button should look kind of like this, or exactly like this. So we can set that up pretty easily. Instead of putting a picture on it, this is the default. We would get a little macro scroll. This would probably be a little more user friendly, so we'll choose the text option and type view properties, and then next. And then this is something you can skip this step. It wouldn't be the end of the world. It's good practice to, it's saying, what do you want to name this button that you just added? And the default name is this, command 55, which is not very helpful, but like I said, you could skip that, but it would be good practice to say, call it something like CMD. That's like that lets us know that it's a command button. And maybe since it's called the View Properties button, we can type something like that. Okay. And we'll do a finish. And there's our button. Okay. Now I want to test it out, and I have to test it in regular form view. So I'll go to regular form view, and I'll click my button. And there it is. It ran the macro because there is the all properties query displayed in read-only data sheet view. I'm trying to make changes and I can't do it. So everything's working as the problem required.